Kiki ma ma ma. Welcome back to the Ma 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 Masters of Horror. I am Jim Cotta, co-host of the Cult Film Showdown, and I am joined by my partners in crime, Nick Boxer.
Ayo, I got my green drink on. I don't even know what that fucking means.
And the man that so many people want to skin, Jack Hall.
And that's a lot of skin, folks. That'll cover a lot of people. Normal people. Yes. That I believe is what you call a tease for the episode that we're going to do here.
So what we're doing here at the Cult Film Showdown is we're taking a break from our normal search for the ultimate B movie to watch a series called Masters of Horror, which ran from 2005 to 2007 on Showtime. And they were basically mini movies by some of the great names in horror films and then some other people. It's tough to have someone who's more legendary in horror film than the director of this episode. We are on season 2, episode 6, entitled Pelts. Pelts. Pelts.
The writer as well. While the writer of this episode, F. Paul Wilson, may not be as famous as some of his contemporaries, he's worked in over 100 different novels, and is a member of the Lifetime Achievement Award of the Horror Writers of America.
Wow. That's impressive.
So he's won numerous awards. His most famous series would be the Repairman Jack series of novels, which has over 30 books in its series. So he's a legendary writer as well, though. As I say, maybe not the name recognition, but among people in the horror community, highly regarded. Nice. And of course, directed by Dario Argento, the legendary Italian director, auteur, I believe we would call him in many ways, whose use of sound, color, and innovative camera work redefined not only the horror genre, but filmmaking in general to many people. One of the true legends up there with the Romeros and the Carpenters and Cravens in horror. So yeah, this is as revered a pair of names within the horror community as we've seen, I think, on any episode.
Nice. I like it. That is
got a couple legends of the cast too, don't we?
Yeah, I don't know if you call them legends of horror, but you got definitely a legend in Meatloaf, who for some reason legendary singer Meatloaf, who for some reason is credited in the title sequences as Meatloaf a Day.
I was going to ask you about that, Jack, because I thought that was very weird.
That was very weird. Apparently, they decided instead of going by his name, but going by his diet.
He did use that name quite a lot around that time. I feel like he was credited that in Fight Club as well.
Meatloaf a Day, was he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, looking at IMDb, it's a lot of his film credits are Meatloaf a Day. Maybe it might have been a Actors Guild thing or something weird like that.
Possible, yeah.
Yeah. But yes, I remembered it from Fight Club among the. Not his breakout role, because his breakout role was in a comedy horror from 20 years before that.
I kind of think of him in I wouldn't say breakout, but I do think of him from Fight Club when I think of his acting roles too. I mean, let's face it. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty memorable, that character.
No, Black Dog. That's how it broke out. Patrick Swayze and him driving truck.
Oh, that does sound good. Of course, Rocky Horror Picture Show, but I mean that was like a glorified music video for his role in it. There wasn't a lot of meat to that character.
I see what you did there.
All right, Pelts.
Oh, come on, we're not going to talk about John Saxon.
Oh,
well, John Saxon is definitely. You're right. I mean, it's not a big role, and I mean his most famous role would be certainly in Enter the Dragon, but I mean he worked in numerous.
Oh yeah, I mean we're talking Black Christmas.
Black Christmas is the
I mean
one.
he was I mean any
think,
genre you can be considered a master of.
I think Nightmare on Elm Street would be what this crowd would know him most from. That's my that was my first
absolutely, yeah,
marker. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's a legend. You're right. That's one that like I say, he didn't have a large role in the film or in this episode, so I kind of was
but
not
the
thinking
time
about
he's there, you know it, because he's
Yeah.
playing drunk better than. Well, he could be drunk. That's how good he is.
might actually be drunk. Yeah.
There was a possibility.
But Jack, tell us before we move on to the actual plot here. You've had some comments the last, I think, 4 or 5 episodes of Masters of Horror that it was missing a certain something. a little seasoning to the episode. This one's an R. This one's got boobies. They're back.
Oh, are they back? I mean, I believe we predicted it. But we said it's Argento. There'll probably be boobies. But I mean, I think the thing runs for 58 minutes. I believe there's boobies in 56 minutes of it.
You might be counting Meatloaf a Day's boobies for a chunk of that.
Maybe. That's true, but
he gets a lot of screen time there too.
They do. But no, I mean, I think the one that gets me is the one right at the end. One of the characters who happens to be a stripper, so there's the reason why she's naked for the majority of her film time. When she dies at the end in a gruesome manner, and the police find her and Meatloaf both dead for absolutely no reason. She's wearing a fur coat that is half open and topless, just so we can see one extra breast. Like he just found a way to, for no reason whatsoever, to show an extra breast in there.
That's Dario saying, in Italian, that he thinks it's bad luck to have an even number of nipples in a. So, you always have to have one.
Hey, I'm just glad there were no his daughter was not in this film.
Yeah,
daughter, wife.
He didn't have a naked daughter in this
related to Dario Argento seems to be naked in this film.
That's right. Asia, who is raised to be afraid of clothes.
They're Italian.
Nick, tell us what happens in Pelts.
Sure, this is some sick shit, man.
I made the mistake of trying to eat chicken wings when I was watching it. By the way. That was not a good plan.
To call what's going on here, plot is a little bit of a stretch.
It is Argento.
Yeah. Basically, you got Meatloaf playing a furrier who hires a poacher to get some sort of magical raccoons. I don't know what the hell is going on with that. And everyone who touches these raccoon pelts seems to die in a horrible manner that is sort of poetic to their job. So, the seamstress gets her eyes sewn shut. And you know what? No. We just go from booby shot to an animal getting squished. That's what this movie is. It's kind of fun. There seems to be some overarching plot that you can get rich by putting raccoon coats on strippers.
We're definitely coming back to this part of it. So keep going. I have so many questions.
Like, what the hell? I mean, how do you get a raccoon coat? Is not even a good kind of fur coat.
These are perfect pelts, though. These are perfect pelts.
They're still raccoons.
Well, the raccoon coat was popular. I feel like early 20th century that it was because I think that's what like the college kids wore in the movies, like that it was that kind of like cold day at Yale kind of jacket. Like
we still saw that coat. It was not that type of coat you're talking about.
No, I mean that was clearly designed for a woman. But I think like it was a jacket that was actually more for men. All right, keep going because I've got so many notes.
Pine lights, as they call these raccoon pelts, for some reason.
They what?
Pine lights. They refer to them as.
Well, pine lights is what she calls them. I don't know. Like he knows it's like he sees. Maybe she sees them as something else. That's a whole other thing.
Oh yeah, I mean they do sort of sprinkle in some like mythology that's not elaborated on. That these aren't real raccoons. That's just their, I don't know, embodiment in this environment as they come across as raccoons. But that's secondary. That's like 2 minutes of a 50-minute film. The rest of it's just
nudity.
Putting raccoon coats on strippers.
So this is my favorite part of like so many of these kinds of movies is that there's a like Oscars level event or awards for like their specific thing. And so he's talking about taking they're going to make a fur coat that they're going to take to this big event that even the strippers heard of. That is like the place for fur. It is like the event for fur in the world. And these pelts are so amazing that our main the loaf says over and over that they're going, like they've got it made, like these are going to make them their fortune, and it's all roses after this. And at that point in the story, he hasn't established that he's going to get any more fur than he has. So they have 14 raccoon pelts that John Saxon got from, of course, from Indian land, from Native American land. He trespassed on, and because this is a horror movie, every bit of Native American superstition is absolute truth. And my wife came in a couple of minutes in. He was just getting the raccoon pelts off of their previous owners, and she's like, "What's going on here?" I'm like, well, I'm guessing that the raccoon pelts are cursed. That the raccoons were cursed. Now the pelts are cursed. And I felt so victorious when later on one of the characters says, "I think these are cursed."
Yeah. Well, even they weren't sure. Like I said, I mean, apparently the raccoons were protecting this burial ground or something like that. That's the whole thing. They were in some way protectors, and then they were killed, and then or some sort of
But was there a burial ground there? I thought they were just sort of.
Well, there was.
Was a something
escaping from the nether realm or something. I don't
know. Symbology and I
don't know. I thought of Pompoko and
wasn't there?
There was like a big. It didn't look like a burial thing. It was more like an altar or like a. Yeah. Like it looked more Aztec than it did anything else, because it was like. I mean, the most important thing is that raccoons were carved into the stone, which is always that's a bad thing. Like if you go to a place and there's a bunch of raccoons and the raccoons are carved into this ancient Native American stone. I mean, probably just go with it. Like this might be one of those Native American superstitions that's totally true, and just leave the raccoons alone. I did a bit of research on raccoon pelts, and it's the juice ain't worth the squeeze, is what they say.
There is, by the way, an American Fur Awards. Just
Nice.
Looked it up. It does exist.
Awesome. Well, I felt it existed. I thought it was odd that the stripper knew what it was and thought it was her big break too.
Well, she hadn't been a regular model for a while.
Yeah.
She'd only been a stripper.
I guess there was
And,
that there was like that there was that implication she had been a fashion model, and maybe that's why she knew what it was. But yeah, like Meatloaf is in love with the stripper. He has this opportunity to
in
make,
lust
like, the
with the
best
stripper,
suit.
I think is the
Yeah,
best
that's
way.
fair. Yeah, and
Yeah.
not like a good kind, like I'm surprised she let him back into the club after the incident kind of way that he got a little handsy.
A little rapey. Where you got
Yeah,
a
like
little
the one
handsy,
that
you got a little
yeah,
rapey.
yeah.
She didn't
Yeah,
care at that point. She was having a good time eating out that other girl who was also topless for no reason. And well, I mean, I guess she should be topless. She is being eaten out. So
yeah,
she's
that's
performing this very graphic lesbian scene with her, and just an excuse for both of them to be naked again. And
there was no
and he
secondary
shows
point
up.
to the lesbian lover, was there? There was just
It was just to be naked.
No.
That was the whole reason she existed, just to be naked.
Never really realized that does not add anything to the plot whatsoever, and
not at all.
Nothing
really
to the story.
Only adds like 10 minutes of runtime.
Yeah, it doesn't add anything to the characterizations. It because I mean, it's she's only naked until she tells Meatloaf, that she will never sleep with him, and then he says, "Well, I have this fur coat, and you can model it." And then she like rubs her ass against his crotch, and you're like, and she's like, "I'll think about it," and I'm like, she's a very forgiving lady.
So something happens with the fur though, like the fur itself, because of the curse that I had mentioned. As soon as it seems to be when someone touches it a lot, like someone spends time with it, because Meatloaf doesn't, like, and that's kind of like, it takes him a while because he doesn't really touch the fur very much at all. Like someone else carries it to the car. He shows a guy how to carefully cut it. One of his terrible employees shows him how to properly cut the fur to make the best coat out of it later. But everyone else along the way who touches it for any length of time goes nuts. Starting with John Saxon's son, and it's like it's a homicidal and suicidal behavior that comes from handling this perfect thing. But everyone seems very, very happy when they're doing horrible things to others and themselves.
Yeah, they are orgasmic almost as they are performing these acts. Like the son, John Saxon's son, is quite squeamish. When he's being shown how to kill and murder the trapped raccoons. Saxon shows them, step on their neck, and if they don't die, take a baseball bat to them. Sometimes you have to take a baseball bat to them 50 times.
That line is
in him not being a good actor too. I'd be creeped out and a little bit giddy.
That line slayed me. That if it's really hard to kill raccoon, you might have to hit it 50 times. It's still a raccoon, for God's sakes. Like,
I know.
How many times do you realistically have to hit a raccoon with an aluminum bat before there's no pelt left?
But I mean, like Nick said, people tend to die in the way that they interact with the fur.
Also true. Yeah, right.
So I mean, the way that you interacted with the raccoons with the furs is the way that you meet your demise. And that's the thing about these things is generally, you want a sympathetic character in a story. But this story is a little different. This is Argento. Argento's theory is, I'm not going to give you a sympathetic character because I'm going to kill them all anyways. Nobody survives it. Spoiler alert. I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler alert at all, really. I mean, you can see this coming. Nobody survives these cursed pelts. And because of that,
second in command actually survive.
I assume he's going to die next because he's next to interact with them. And he doesn't really do much. He's not really part of the story, or he doesn't really interact with them. But I assume if he does interact with, like, wherever these pelts are going, the death will continue. And so I mean, the fact that he survives is in no way relevant because you're not at all interested in that character. Everybody basically dies. He's going to kill everybody off. So it's okay to make everybody horrible, and they are. Everybody is
That's true.
terrible,
Wait, after
terrible
you take
person.
the fur coat off the armless prostitute, does it go anywhere else?
Well, that coat
the
doesn't.
story ends with a bloody footprint from one of the police officers. But I like I say, I mean, I assume that it's going to go wherever it's going. It's going to continue killing.
Well, they established that this coat is like heavily. It's got blood all over it, and you know, it is fur, so maybe you can get that out. But they also established that that's not all of the pelts. That they've got more to like. They've got more than made this coat. But there's some diciness there in my research on raccoon pelts, which I never expected to be a thing I would research.
I did. I thought that about you. I always was like, it's a matter of time.
It takes about 20 pelts to make a coat, and they have 14. And
these were big raccoons, though.
They were.
Yeah, the perfect.
They were, but yeah, like somewhere between like 20 and 30 raccoons to make a coat. So they got about a half a coat's worth of raccoons, but maybe they're also really. They were big raccoons, so maybe that's going to help out our numbers here.
And they didn't have to take little pieces of the raccoons because the pelts were perfect all the way through.
That's right. The pelts were super high quality.
Flats.
Yeah. And I love the little effect that they did when people look at the pelts. There's this kind of glimmer, reflecting quality, like a little bit of a shimmer to them.
I didn't see any shimmer. You're next, man.
No, I do. I think that's where the pine lights thing kind of comes in.
Oh God, you're both dead.
So raccoon pelt, really high quality, best of the line, $15 for a pelt, and he has 14 of them.
Get rich.
He does establish. Yes, his the call that John Saxon made is that you can get 10 times what you'd normally get. So we're talking about a little over $2,000 for all of the pelts. And yeah, the other bit of how the furrier says that they're going to take this coat on the stripper to the fur show, and then that's their ticket. Like the sky's the limit after that. And I kept thinking, I'm like, but you only have the one coat. Like,
yeah, but people will assume that's that quality with the rest of their coats.
I guess that's where he's going, because it's not until later that he goes, oh wait, if I had 2 of those raccoons, I could get more raccoons out of that.
Well, I mean, that's the thing he does. That is why he visits the. That is why he visits the lady who holds the land. It's because he wants to get those raccoons to breed.
Yeah,
that was the reason he went there.
Yeah,
and then he found out she may be nuts.
She just might be.
I think you've done more research into the fur trade than anyone who was involved with the making of this picture.
Yeah, that's typical though.
Because I mean, we do have a zebra pelt coming out of this factory early in this film.
Oh, do we? Oh, that's so cool.
It comes right out of the credits when there's a zebra pelt there, and I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's not doing raccoon and zebra pelts.
And why not?
They're from different continents.
That's amazing.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's making a living as a furrier, but not a really good living. You know, I mean, when we talk about his employees, it's like 5 people. Yeah.
It's basically a little sweatshop he's running there.
Yeah, basically is. He's all, like I say, he's everybody's horrible in this thing, but he's the most horrible. And Meatloaf's character, and you know, it doesn't have necessarily the surreal quality that we typically see in our Argento project. That Jennifer had the surreal feel to it.
Yeah,
but I mean, if nothing else, we talk about a lot of the episodes and we go, oh, well, is this actually more of a thriller than horror? Is this dark comedy? This is definitely at least a horror. Like, you are not, going to associate this episode with anything other than horror content.
Yeah. There's not a lot.
It's not all that scary.
I think it's a very it's one of the most gross out for sure.
Oh, definitely.
But I think it's
the face being cut off was really gross, although one of the worst special effects.
I'll let you know if I can watch it with my eyes closed, with my eyes open. There were definitely a couple of like pulling the covers over my eyes moments in this episode, which doesn't happen often, but there's some pretty rough stuff in this one.
Oh yeah. Well, just the effects of the skinning was enough to make me go, oh, that's so. I'm eating chicken wings, guys. That's so. That's probably what skinning people or creatures for fur is actually like.
I was wondering about that because the process they seem to use to get the pelts from the animal seemed to be more of like a grapefruit squeezing method than a skinning method that I had imagined.
You don't see much of that part. I mean, it is that thing where you if you show it being done to an animal, like part of your brain thinks it might be real, but when you do it to a person, your brain's like, no, that's not. So like it's actually more disturbing when it's an animal because of Hollywood's horrible history of how we've treated animals, basically.
Especially and Italians' horrible history of how they treat animals.
Yeah. They're just now hearing that maybe that's not okay.
Apparently, they haven't heard though putting your naked daughter in a movie is not okay.
Well, let's not take everything from them. There's some things to keep Italian cinema going.
I mean, it's probably not as good as Jennifer, but it delivered in what it meant to be. It was gory and sleazy, and there was copious amounts of nudity for no reason.
I kind of liked it just because I think it was a little different than anything else Argento's done. He's always been more psychological than gross out, although some of his films do have some gross moments.
Some of them have. I mean, he's well known for the money shot, for the gross out shot, but it's usually done with incredible camera work.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, that shot, I can't believe he got that shot. That's unbelievable. He's still an auteur, the way he does it. This is just a little more slimy and greasy.
Yeah.
Than you typically see.
Yeah, this is porno as to erotica, other than
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's I think it's a worthy entry and definitely some people with a lot of craft being brought to this and severe violence and excessive nudity. It's the most gratuitous that the nudity's been in any of these. So
perhaps, I mean, it's been in a few.
It has the least to do with any story.
The
least.
This one, it was just to, hey, it's been probably a couple minutes since we've had some nudity. Let's have let's put that her eating that girl out in there for 3 minutes for no reason. You know, it's so no, really, it's one of my favorite episodes. Is what I'm saying. What I'm trying to get across. No, I mean, yeah, it's worthy. I think is a good way to put it. Worthy episode. I mean, after 4 straight episodes of no nudity, it was just nice to know that Argento was coming around.
Too true, too true. Well, all right, that wraps it up for episode 6 of season 2 of Masters of Horror. We are the Cult Film Showdown. We are on Instagram, and we are sponsored by WeTalkPodcast.com, the home of the Octagon. They are on Facebook and they are on Twitter. And we are on Patreon under Cult Film Showdown. Support the efforts we are making. We are so late in Masters of Horror now that we're starting to chit-chat about what we might want to do after this. There's a couple of options available that would thematically follow Masters of Horror.
Yeah, there's actually one I thought of the other day that I'm like, this would be great to do that I meant to throw past you guys. First off, what is the Octagon for those uninitiated?
Oh, well, in our day-to-day lives, we are searching for the ultimate B movie, and we rate them in 5 categories, none of which is objective quality, and we keep track of that on the Octagon, which is a rating of where you can sort our top-rated movie period, or you can sort by the different categories of how many what the fuck moments an episode or a movie has, and its overall its kitsch factor. I've actually forgotten the 5 categories as I'm talking here.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it's been a while.
Kitsch factor. There's memorable moments. There's more heart than budget.
That's my favorite category. That's my favorite rating category is more heart than budget, because I think that that's the one that really separates the men from the boys of war.
It's true in many ways that that's the best category to rate the film in, but I mean the WTS is the most fun.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, check out those archives, because we've done a lot of episodes and there's a lot of good laughs in there.
There's about 150 that we've done, yeah, and I would say I mean the top 10 would make a fantastic movie marathon for you. That would just get your friends together and start watching those during. I'm assuming there's going to be another lockdown any day, so.
And the nice thing about it is it's a really good mix of well-known cult films and more obscure cult films.
Absolutely.
That you would enjoy. So.
Yeah, it's terrific stuff. And
we had talked about doing Fear Itself after we do cult. Do you want to me to throw out the other one I was thinking?
Yeah, tell us the other one.
Back to Fear Itself, but you know what would be a really good series to do? Is that American Gothic series that was on the one that was created by, I believe, David Cassidy in 1995 or 1996. That was is a cult favorite that was on I believe CBS. That was spectacular.
It's a fantastic series. It is not an anthology, but it is a fantastic series. I absolutely love it. And some amazing. It's got a really cool cast, a couple of whom have become much more well-known names after that series, including the star of the best Fast and the Furious movie, Tokyo Drift.
Lucas Black.
Lucas Black. Yeah. And
he was a kid who did that show.
And the woman who's she's won 4 Emmys and has been in almost every season of American Horror Story. I've totally blanked on her name. She was in that as well.
That's right. That person.
Yeah, you know her. You love her. And
yeah, she was really hot in American Gothic, and she still looks good.
Well, she wasn't super hot in American Gothic. She was almost mute.
So maybe I'm thinking of a different actor.
I'm still cheering for Freddy's Nightmares, so we're gonna have to duke it out.
That's a good one. Oh, that's a good. And then there's Nightmare Cafe. That's another one starring Robert Englund that was on
Oh
NBC.
yeah. I've only seen a couple
There's
of those.
lots to do here.
Sarah Paulson is the actress I was talking about.
Okay, I was thinking of somebody else. Sarah Paulson.
Paige Torko was the like the female lead, because Sarah Paulson is the young woman who sees something terrible in the pilot and then basically doesn't speak for the whole series.
Oh yeah.
She was only a teenager when she did this. Yeah.
She was the one who was super hot. You're right. And boy, was she good.
I'd be it's 22 episodes, so we'll put it in we can put it in the mix though. Masters of Science.
We would like to hear from your
opinion.
Put it in the comments on the We Talk Podcast website or on YouTube. Even better, put in the comments what you would like to us to do next.
I like it. All right, we'll be back next time with the screw fly. Try that again. The screw fly solution.